Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Diamonds and Washi. My name is Katie, and if you are new here, hello, welcome. I hope you'll consider subscribing, and if you are back, as always, welcome back. Today I am here with the reveal and wrap up from my Jaded Gem Shop rendering comparison video. There have been a few videos in the series. You're welcome to go back and watch them if you are interested to see. We really do a deep dive on certain sections of these paintings side by side, but in essence, just to give you a quick snapshot recap, I have been comparing two different kinds of rendering styles that the small shop, Jaded Gem Shop, has to offer. On the left, we're going to have what they're calling the pixel charted version, which is more highly hand charted. And on the right, we have their classic or hybrid rendered version, which is more computer charted with some hand touch-ups. This has been a really interesting series to dive into and was very widely requested when I unboxed this pixel charted kit because it was part of a new line of kits that Jaded Gem Shop has launched that they're gradually adding to every week. And so I thought, yeah, let's dive in and do a comparison between these two. And I'm really excited to be able to share with you what these completed kits look like side by side together today. So I'm going to give you first a really quick recap. And I know, I have hidden parts of the image with the drills here. That's on purpose. So I could, give me just my moment, okay, of being dramatic. But as far as stats go, the pixel charted version is 60 by 90 centimeters and has a total of 67 colors. It has square drills and came with a few special drills charted, including some metallics and some shimmer drills. On the right, we have the hybrid or classic charted version, and it is 50 by 75 centimeters. Also has square drills. It has 70 colors and did not come with any enhancements. I did not choose to have any added, but you can if you so choose. I do want to acknowledge right up front, like I have in each of the videos in this series, that I know that this is not going to be a perfect comparison by any means, because these canvases are not the same size. The reason behind that is because the pixel charted version is only offered in the one size, at least in the square drill shape. And I knew that I would get way too burned out if I tried to do the hybrid charted version in a 60 by 90 size, and I had already purchased it in this particular size. I'm hoping that this comparison is still going to give you a sense for the differences in styles and overall looks of these two rendering styles, and will still hopefully inform your decision on what you'd prefer to reach for and how you want to spend your money. So especially because Jaded Gem Shop kits, I will fully acknowledge they can get very expensive. So you want to make sure that you're spending your money in a way that you feel good about. That being said, the last row that I worked on that we'll really be spending some time on today is going to be the middle row that has the mermaid's face and the book and some, the top of the cat's head, the top of the mermaid's tail, some of the bath, products and stuff. So I'm excited to share that with you. And then we're going to also kind of look at it as a whole. I had had it very widely requested to see some viewing distance photos of these particular canvases. So I'm going to do that later in the video. So stay tuned if that was something you were interested in seeing. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you what these look like side by side here in this video and move these drills out of the way. We're going to look at the drill colors, by the way, up close, and I will, show you some of the similarities and differences in DMC. So anyway, there we go. There we have it. So again, pixel charted is on the left, hybrid charted is on the right, and definitely a very distinct difference between the two when we're looking specifically at this middle row. And there are things that I like about both. I'll tell you up front that I personally do prefer the pixel charted version. You are welcome to prefer whichever version you prefer. Your taste is your taste. Taste is subjective, so I'm going to leave it up to you to decide which is more your taste. I'm going to try to point out some specific differences that I noticed, though, so it can help you make your decision. But I'll just say up front, personally, I think overall, and as well as specifically in this middle row, I do prefer the pixel charted version. That being said, some of the big differences that I notice in this one, with this row in particular, is the metallic drills that have been charted in the bath fixtures, the high level of detail that's in the bath products, and then obviously her face. I think that that is a huge difference. And I do like how it has been charted in the pixel charted version. In the hybrid charted version, I kind of like the softness in her tail. I don't dislike that at all. And even in the book, I don't mind the colors in the book and the softness that comes with that as well. I feel like we lose a lot of detail in the cat's head here, which is unfortunate. I like actually the color blending of her hair in this version better, but the detail in her face I absolutely prefer in the pixel charted version. This also has no specialty drills, and in some ways the original artwork, I'll pop the original artwork up on the screen so you can see how that looks. And I'll also put up a picture of the three kind of side by side. So I'll have the pixel charted version on the left, the original artwork in the middle, and then the hybrid charted on the right, so you can see them laid out like that as well. I feel like the original artwork is a little bit softer overall than the pixel charted version looks. The pixel charted version has a lot of very clean, very detailed and distinct lines to it. And there's a lot I really like about that. I feel like when you're working up close on it, you really know exactly what you're working on. And it has a level of clarity that you see both up close and further back. The hybrid charted version is absolutely going to look better from what we call a viewing distance. That is to say that when you're looking at a diamond painting, it's not designed to be looked at from like 6 to 12 inches, like right up close to the canvas when you're working. It really is designed to be looked at from like, okay, if it's on your wall, how far are you standing back to be able to see the whole thing? So, that might be 6 feet, 10 feet. And so a lot of those details will come together. And when I was up close working on some of these details, I didn't know what I was working on because it was just a lot of what we call confetti. Confetti is where you have lots of color changes in a small area. There's a lot of single placing. And this kit was so chock full of confetti. And it took a lot longer to work on too. That reminds me, in this last row, I actually ended up working on the same section of artwork in both kits, and thought that it would be fun to share with you the breakdown of stats of how long it took me to complete each section and each version. So I time myself. I try to have like this same sort of, keep everything controlled for as much as possible, working without distractions, working when I wasn't, feeling tired or burnt out, that sort of thing. And so what it came down to is here, I'll put up on the screen the different sizes of the sections, as well as how long it took me to complete each section. And so it took me around like an hour and a half-ish, give or take, to do the section in the hybrid charted version. And it was a smaller size section than the same section artwork I did in the pixel charted version, which took me more like an hour. So it was interesting to me, but not surprising to see that there was a difference in terms of how long it took me to complete these kits. I definitely felt like when I worked on the pixel charted version, overall it went a lot faster. So what I think I would like to do now is I'm going to bring you down closer and I'm going to show you some details in that last row, since that was the last section that we haven't spent any time in real depth on. And in the past check-ins that I've done, I have brought you down closer and shown you some side-by-sides, just because I feel like that can really illustrate some of the differences in a really clear way. And that'll also be, when we're up close, a nice time for me to show you the colors and the DMC codes that were in this kit. We'll take a look at the drill storage that I used. So I'll be right back. Okay, so we have the pixel charted version on top and the hybrid charted version on the bottom. And I think as soon as we zoomed in more on the hybrid charted version, you could definitely see that we lost some of the details, or at least the way that our eye interprets the artwork. And so that's definitely this is a really concrete example of how that works with our eyes. So you could see the special drills, the metallics that are in kind of the bath fixture over here for sure. That is really distinct from the bath fixture over here, where it's a lot softer. Overall, it just is very soft. Back here, I feel like this really conveys the lighting in the piece, which in the last progress check-in where we talked about the top part of the canvas, I talked a lot about how the hybrid charted version, which was much softer, and I felt like actually suited the vibe of the lighting in this piece really nicely. I did like that better in some ways, and I feel like that translates similarly in this area, where if you like the soft lighting and how that's translated into a diamond painting, you might really prefer the way that this looks. It's interesting to me how different the colors are between these two. Like even this is like, more of an orangey color and this is more of a pinky color. It's little things, but definite differences that I notice for sure. So, I'm trying to think what else. Okay, so obviously her face, there's lots of differences there. I don't think this is terrible, but I don't think it's very good. I'm not going to dress it up. I think it's about what I would expect from a kit at this size point in a hybrid or highly computer charted version. This is simply about what I would expect. I would be extremely curious to see what this looks like at the 60 by 90 size point, because we're going to get more details than this. I don't think it's going to be as crisp and clear as the pixel charted version, but there is going to be a difference. And so I'm going to be keeping an eye out in the Jaded Gem Shop Facebook group in particular to see if someone works on the hybrid charted version and the 60 by 90 size, because I think that is really a more fair comparison to make, especially in areas like this, which I feel like people are probably going to prioritize how it looks. And so I think what my takeaway would be is that if you like the look of the hybrid charted version, I think in this artwork, I would pretty strongly suggest getting the next size up. I think that is going to make a big difference, especially in areas like this specific row. But obviously, if you go up in size, that means that you're committing to that much more confetti at that size point. I knew I couldn't do it. I knew that I would be so burned out. It was going to take me forever. I couldn't do it. So this is what I went with. This is how it looks. I do actually, I don't think there's very much. There's not a huge difference, in my opinion, between the tail, the mermaid's tail that we see here between the two. And I don't have strong feelings, honestly. This one has more of a distinct outline to it. And that's something I've seen some people comment on past progress check-ins I've done on these kits, is they've said the pixel charted version almost is like a coloring book, where it feels like there's a lot of just strong lines almost. And it's funny. It's a similar reaction that I had to my Spirit of Flight comparison project, where the differences between the rendering styles were pretty stark, like they are here. And a lot of people were saying they wish that there was a middle ground. And I'm finding that I'm hearing people say the same thing about this kit, is they're kind of like, I wonder what it would be like to have a middle ground, something that's a little softer than the pixel charted, but a little more detail than the hybrid charted. So I don't know, is that what you guys would think too? I'm curious to hear what you think. So that's kind of a direct side-by-side comparison between those areas specifically. Now, what I'd like to do is grab the drills and kind of show you some of the color differences in terms of DMC code between the two. I stored these in two separate kinds of storage containers specifically because I was worried about potentially mixing them up. And the DMC, the color codes that are used are slightly different. There are a lot of similarities, but there are also some differences. So this is suitcase storage with these, they're almost like Tic Tac containers, but bigger, like at least double the size of them. I would advise being a little bit careful because these a little bit wanted to pop open. I actually had a mishap when I was traveling with this, where a couple of colors came open when it was in my suitcase on an airplane. And Jade sent me out some replacements because she includes spill insurance with her kits. But so this is like a suitcase. There's two foam layers in here, and I had drills in each layer. This was that I got from Enabler's Outpost. I'm not sure if they're still carrying this kind of storage, but you can find this. I got it from Enabler's Outpost, so you could check back there, and I've seen it at other small shops too. This is Elizabeth Ward storage. It is kind of my ride or die. I use it all the time. I love that I can mix and match the different sizes of containers, and I like that it's all laid out in front of me, like really nice and neatly. Getting down to like the colors and some of the color differences. So for example, if we're looking just at like the 100s, it's like, well, there are some similarities. We have 150s, we have a 152. This one has 151 and 153. And 154, and so on and so forth. So there are some similarities. I was curious to see the colors in here that there were the most of. I was like, oh, is that same color going to be in the hybrid charted version? And so, for example, like this color is 224. This doesn't exist in the hybrid charted version, but there were plenty of other colors that I think probably filled its place. Similar to like this orange color, actually there was 402 in both of them and a good amount of those. There were some blues, like we had this 597 in both of them. The symbols were not the same, obviously, but it's funny, like Jaded Gem Shop uses the same like symbols in general. So like I had the percent sign in this one and it was blue, and I'm pretty sure I had the percent sign in this one and it was a different color. Yeah, it was a brown. So you'll see a lot of the same symbols just with different color backgrounds and stuff. Other colors that we had a lot of, these colors like 950 and 951, these were the colors that made up a lot of the curtains and the background. And so there was a ton of these colors, and these existed, there were a ton of these colors in the hybrid charted version too. So that was interesting. Like the colors that I feel like there were maybe the most of in this kit were the same DMC code in both. Let me take a look at this bottom section and see. So yeah, a lot of these colors, these kind of greens were a little bit different between the two. 3328, yeah, that was just in this one. 3371, that dark brown, that was in both. And then some of these little peachy colors. Yeah, so like we had this kind of peach color was in both. The 3770, the 3774 we had in both. So this kind of, these peaches and ivories, we did have a lot of in both kits. So those DMCs stayed the same. But some of the colors and the details I feel like were the ones that were different. 3856 was this kind of orangey color. There was that. One thing to keep in mind is that some of the colors were swapped out for special drills. So like this was a shimmer drill. G152 has that fine glitter coating. Then we had G415, which was the light blue shimmer. And then G3865 was a white shimmer. And then we had these two metallics, which we saw in like the bath fixtures and some of the window panes and the pixel charted. It was a brown and a gold metallic. So let's kind of look at the drills. So there was a fair amount of overlap in terms of the DMCs, but I think just the way that the computer kind of translated some of these colors at the smaller size point, it kind of consolidated some of them. And that's why I think we see some of those differences. But interestingly, the hybrid charted version had more colors. It had 70, whereas the pixel charted had 67. So let's look at the drill colors. And now I'm going to zoom you back out and we're going to just kind of close things out. And I want to do a couple other things too. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I wanted to give you another chance to look at these side by side as we're wrapping up. I also wanted to go ahead and I'm going to put a couple of pictures up on the screen here of what these look like from what we would call a viewing distance. And I'm going to try to get them side by side with, you know, the pixel charted version here and then the hybrid charted version here. And so you can see maybe more what they look like from what we would call a viewing distance, as opposed to right now you're maybe 3 feet from the canvases. So I'm gonna get you back a little bit further and see if that helps a bit. But I'd love to hear what you guys think now. So I just want to mention a quick disclaimer because this has just come up kind of lightly in a couple of the past comment sections for these progress videos for this comparison. But please do keep in mind that people do have different tastes, and if someone likes, you know, one version of this that isn't necessarily your taste, they might not necessarily love seeing you call it trash in the comments section. So you guys are generally pretty wonderful about keeping things kind and respectful and understanding that taste is subjective and you are more than entitled to love what you love and prefer what you prefer and want to spend your money where you want to spend your money. But I like to think that it is okay for people to have different personal preferences, and that's not a bad thing. So that being said, I feel like this really is a distinct set of renderings. There are a lot of differences. And my personal takeaway from this is that I really, really love that we have the option because there is some artwork, like in particular, this artist's work, Toshia San's artwork, I am going to wait and get from Jaded Gem Shop when they come out as hand rendered or pixel charted pieces, because I found this version in the end to be much, much, much more enjoyable to work on. And so for me, that's why the pixel charted version is my favorite. It's the one I like best for my taste and how I would want to spend my money. I like this one better. But there are certain artists and artworks from Jaded Gem Shop that I actually would prefer the softer rendering of. And I think Martith art is a good example. I loved the piece by, I worked on, I think just the one piece from Jaded Gem Shop and Martith art. And I loved the glowy effect of that one so much and the soft look of it. So I just my takeaway is that I love that we have the option. We can go with the style that we like best. Now, just to let you know how this works right now is the time of this filming at Jaded Gem Shop. The way they're doing pixel charted kits is that Jaded Gem Shop is trying to work through and get us some pixel charted pieces from a variety of artists in her shop right now, and is, working through some on like her own priority list, but is also she is taking some requests and taking those into account. You also do have the option of purchasing a pixel charted version of artwork that has not already been pixel charted before. How this works is that there's a listing on the Jaded Gem Shop website for a pixel charted add-on. And how this works is that the fee for that includes you getting to choose. It's basically like a front of the line pass for a particular artwork to be pixel charted, and you're getting the first one. And it also, that fee includes your kit, the kit that you're getting. It's not just you're paying the cost of the kit and paying this add-on fee. It's all included in that fee. Now, that is a premium price point and is not going to be for everyone. I mean, it's not something I could realistically do, except in like an extremely special circumstance, but it is an option if there's something you're just really dying to see pixel charted ASAP. That is something you can do. I always recommend that you are reading closely the different descriptions for listings so you know exactly what you're getting and there's not confusion there. But yes, that fee does include the actual kit itself. That artwork will then go on to be available as a pixel charted version for anyone to buy. But you're getting like basically a front of the line pass and you're getting the first copy of it too. So that is an option. Otherwise, you can just kind of wait and see and put in requests and see where that ends up in the queue. But as time goes on, we're just gonna get more options. So okay, you guys, let me know in the comments, what do you think? Which one would you buy if it were you? And if you happen to have the 60x90 version of the hybrid charted version, please do go post it in the Jaded Gem Shop Facebook group, and you can even tag me in it, and because I would love to see it. I would really, really love to see it and feel like that's a more fair comparison between the two. But I do hope that this was still helpful and gave you a sense for what each of these versions has to offer. So you guys, thanks for joining me for this series. I hope it was helpful, like I said, and I'm excited to read what your thoughts are. And let me know, what else do you want me to do a comparison series on? I'm kind of on a kick at this point, and I really do enjoy doing comparison sorts of series, and for your sake and for mine. Like I said, I hope it's very helpful. But you guys, subscribe if you want to see more diamond painting videos from me. I would love to have you here. Thanks so much for watching. Have a day and a week that's as amazing as you are, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.